problem with Alex was that, honestly, Street Fighter V kind of f***ed him up. I am hoping for the ultimate Alex redemption arc here in Street Fighter 6. I am seeing this resurgence in the desire for execution in the FGC, which I'm so happy to see. People want that character that they have to practice. I'm actually looking forward to the season and seeing what those characters can do, how they play, how they change them. Yeah, I hated Rose. I didn't like Sakura either. I liked Elena, I liked Ibuki, I liked Makoto, I liked Dudley. You know why? Because they're all based off of a real fighting style, and that's awesome. Most of the characters I think are really, really well designed. If Ingrid is magical, especially like with things where she can just lift you off the screen and let you drop, she just happens to embody everything that I never wanted to see in a Street Fighter game. Hello everybody, welcome to It Was Tuesday with your host James Chen, aka Jay Chenzor. Lots of stuff happening in the fighting game community these days. Capcom has officially announced the 4 characters being added in there, and that is, of course, Sagat, Alex, Ingrid, and C. Viper. I'm not sure if people out there are like, hey, can we see the trailer? It's a great trailer because it's just Kenny Omega cosplaying as like every character that's in there. Here, we'll just play it. Here, let's just do this. Let's go to their channel. Here we go. Yeah, year 3 character reveal. Just make sure that it's there. Okay. So that, here we go. Let's just see this here. Let's switch to this, and let's play this.
Let's rumble. Alex. All right. Viper. Ingrid.
Not very popular because Alex was also done just really poorly in Street Fighter V.
That was crazy. Sagat. Street Fighter 6.
Then wow. And I mean, look, obviously there's a lot to talk about here, but let's just look at this. So Sagat's the first character coming out this summer, so he's going to be showing up very soon. But I just want to talk about this background. This background is like seriously like one of the most beautiful backgrounds ever, because obviously it's the Thailand statue again, right? But it's like foggy and it's like bad weathery, you know, and it looks so good. I mean, like the sense of scale that you have here, like you see how like the background and the valleys and stuff like that move. Like look right around this area here, you know, this area right there, and you can kind of just see how like the sense of scale. There's like this valley or chasm there or whatever. I mean, the stage is just absolutely beautiful. So I'm really excited, obviously, for Sagat to come out, and I'm really curious to see if they can make him a projectile zoner. Can they actually do it? they actually turn him into a projectile zoner? I mean, if we look at this footage really carefully over here, he's doing very Street Fighter V Sagat things, right? Like, he looks like he's definitely more of a, I would say, like a beefed up Street Fighter V Sagat. In fact, he's even got pretty much the same kind of costume, right? Which he's got the little things over his shoulder. What the hell just happened? Okay, here we go. Let's go back here. So yeah, I mean, he's obviously throwing the high tigers, but I mean, let's just see how fast the high tiger looks over here. Obviously, I'm at half speed, so looks like it recovers fast, which it should, but we've seen both of the tiger shots. And did the tiger shot just have a tiger head in it? Did I just see that right? No, it's just a fireball. Okay, I was seeing things. But obviously, Tiger Knee hitting twice again, which it hasn't done in a while. And then this one's weird. Like, this looks like stand heavy kick, but he cancels it into this move here. So does he just have, like, one of his, like, V triggers as a special move, like a lot of the characters have? So, like, that he just cancels into this knee thing, or that hits twice, and then a third time, and which then he could link into what I'm assuming is his CA over here, or his level 3. But again, I mean, it looks really cool. I can't wait to see what they did with Sagat. And of course, you know, Sagat counts as a Street Fighter 1 and Street Fighter 2 character. I would have liked to have seen someone like Eagle show up in the game, but one of the nice things about this is that, you know, they literally, I like how he tried to pose as much like them as possible. They didn't quite get the angles, but you know. So Sagat is coming out. So someone did put up the link to the let's see over here. Yeah, so we have the release dates for what the hell? What happened? Okay. Anyways, yeah, so Sagat's the first one coming out in the summer. And I know this is conspiracy theory-ish, kind of, and stuff like this, but let me see if I can find this one over here. So the latest patch notes came out, and like I said, this is probably going to feel kind of conspiracy theory-ish, but like, it does say here that our focus for this end of the content year update was various character tunings in addition to alterations to the general strategy of the game through a number of battle system changes. It is interesting that they called this the end of the content year. So maybe the patch that comes with Sagat is the official Season 3 patch, and maybe we'll actually see more changes to the system. And in fact, my strange brain is like, well, they nerfed some characters' throw loops, like Ken. Like, he can still throw loop, but he has to be perfect. Elena has to drive rush and be perfect timing, etc., etc. They, like, kind of shifted a few of them. I almost feel like they're experimenting. I don't know if it's just me. This is where my brain is going. It feels like they're experimenting, and they're trying to see if, like, okay, we'll make it so that it has to be, like, 1 to 2 frame perfect to get throw loops. And if people can still do them, they'll be like, interesting, you know, like, and so I would like to think that they're just using this period of time before Sagat drops as like a test, and then officially the Season 3 patch comes out. However, the thing that obviously kills that theory is that, you know, the official Season 2 patch was definitely, why are you not clicking? Okay, there we go. The official Season 2 patch was called the 2024-05 patch. And you can see that all the in-between patches are always like an exact specific date. Whereas this one here is just a month and a year again. So my conspiracy theory is probably wrong, but I'm just holding out hope, you know. So... But yeah, in any case, there we are. Okay, here we go. But yeah, I mean, Sagat really excited to see how he's going to turn out, see if they could really turn him into a projectile zoner. Because obviously, with the drive parry mechanic, like, obviously it's annoying because if you parry fireballs, you can't keep moving forward. But it's just not the same kind of threat, right? So one of the key things about being a zoner is that if you're a screen away and you throw projectiles, if the opponent just like parries them and doesn't do anything, it's like supposed to feel bad for that guy, right? But in this kind of a situation, if let's just say the opponent has a life lead and you're chucking fireballs at them and they're just parrying every single one of those fireballs, they can do that until the round ends and there's no pressure on the other character that's across the screen. The concept of a proper zoner is that regardless if you have a life lead or not, if someone's chucking plasma at you across the screen, you're feeling agitated and threatened because if you block it, you know, you lose a tiny bit of your life, you try to avoid it and neutral jump it, but then they threw a slow one, so you land it. So you're still trying to get in on them. That's how zoners generally play, is that zoners are a threat regardless of life lead or deficit. The other person across the screen has to still feel like they have the pressure to try to finish the fight. JP is a lot like this, right? So that's why JP still works great as a zoner. I don't know if they can actually do that with Sagat, but it'll be interesting to see if they can actually do it. I think it would be super awesome if they can actually do it. So yeah, I mean, Eagle, yeah, if Eagle showed up and, you know, they made him openly gay, like, people are going to be like, oh my God, why are you so woke? And dude, he was so gay in CVS2. like, like, people are going to be like, why did they change him that way, right? And then you, like, literally go and, like, read all of Eagle's win quotes in CVS2. And you're like, this is nothing new, buddy. Yeah. But again, he's a Street Fighter 2 character. And then Alex, I'm happy for the Alex fans. Like I said, he was my first main in Street Fighter 3. I do like Alex a lot as a character. And what I'm really hoping for, and they've been so good about this, is really kind of like glow-ups, right? The glow-ups in this game have been ridiculous, right? Like in Street Fighter 5, I'll admit it, I wasn't all that into Ed. Like, I didn't really care about Ed much at all. And in Street Fighter 6, they made Ed kind of cool, right? Like, I legit think Ed is really kind of a sick character. They gave him a lot more personality, like all the crazy, like, you know, plane breaking that he does, etc., etc. So the problem with Alex was that, honestly, Street Fighter 5 kind of fucked him up. Honestly, and sorry for the language. Okay, you know what? I told myself I was doing good play stuff, so let me try that again. Street Fighter 5 kind of forked him up, dude. Like his legs were backwards, his hair was French fries, and he sucked the entire time. Even at the end, when he got significantly better, he's still not that great, right? And so Alex just really kind of has this, like, blight on his history here, right? And so if he can come back here in Street Fighter 6 and they can make him so that he's like redemption kind of a thing where he's actually like super cool and like make his systems work and he's really back to kind of like that Street Fighter. Because the thing is, in Street Fighter 3, even though he was bad in Third Strike, he feels gritty and like he just feels like when he fights you, it's just like this rumble, like he feels like that good brawler kind of character. And in 5, like I said, he just felt like backwards legs, fry haircut dude, right? He was the first DLC for Street Fighter 5, and it was clearly seemed like he was not done yet. And like I said, he never got even remotely good in the game until the very last season. So like I said, it's just really weird because Street Fighter 5 feels like it really did a lot of damage to Alex. Like, if you aren't just already a big Alex or Third Strike fan, you're like, why do people care about Alex? He's so dumb. You know, like, kind of thing. And I am hoping for the ultimate Alex redemption arc here in Street Fighter 6, because he deserves better than what he had in 5. I want him to come out. I want him to be good. I want him to just look powerful. Like, I want him to make it look like he's like, it's scary, right? And like Olaf has said, like, that mofo was jacked in Street Fighter 3, right? I mean, that guy is like, he is like, you know, like bodybuilder, like model kind of like jacked, you know? And like, I hope we can get that kind of an Alex back in the game. Like, just a really, really great presentation for him. So in that way, I am really glad that he's back. And again, I like the fact that we have a Street Fighter 2, a Street Fighter 3, and with Viper, we have a Street Fighter 4 representative finally. I mean, again, Elena and Alex are the first Third Strike representatives in this game, right? Oh, I'm sorry, the first Street Fighter 3, true Street Fighter 3 representatives in this game. So it took a long time to get more Street Fighter 3 characters in here. So I think it's really cool that they got Alex there. I like the beanie look. I'm not neither here nor there on the vest, but I just like the beanie because he looks so much more New York that way. Like, if you imagine New York in the wintertime, you know, like, well, I mean, he's got sleeveless vest on, but whatever, you know how it is, so. Oh God, Abigail. I mean, Hugo's storyline kind of sucked in 4 too. What was Abigail's storyline? Because Hugo's storyline in Street Fighter 4 was that he just wanted to become a potato. Like, what? Like, he just literally wanted to become a potato. Oh, that's right. And then Abigail just wanted to become a car, right? Well, Abigail was cool. I liked Abigail as a character, but what the hell with that storyline? Yeah, I just want to become a car or something like that. So, just making car noises. But yeah, it's cool that Alex is coming back, and finally Viper is back. Finally, why did it take this long to get Viper back? Why? Hey, look, Christopher T, there's an artist out there that's like in love with Adon, and so all she keeps doing is just drawing like dreamy pictures of Adon or pictures of herself and Adon like getting married and all this stuff like that. And I love her because, you know what? Adon deserves more love. Adon deserves more love. I would love to see Adon come back, right? So, of course, I do call him Adon sometimes because I think that's actually how you pronounce his name, but Adon, Adon, whatever. So, I think it would be cool to bring him back. I really liked him in Alpha 1, but he sucked. Holy crap, he sucked. Like, I played Chun-Li because she was bad and I was a low-tier hero. I'm not sure who was worse, Chun-Li or Adon, but Adon was almost kind of like too bad for me to even want to get into. I even really liked Xism Adon in Alpha 3, which just jump kicks were just making him do the things. So I'm down with that too. I would love to see Adon come back. Honestly, I would really like to see that. So, but Viper coming back, finally, because I mean, she was. And it's weird because if it wasn't for Jury, I'm sure Viper would have been in 5 or 6. Probably both, right? She probably would have taken Jury's place. But Jury was just so goddamn popular that she just overshot Viper in terms of the, you know, the waifu character of the game. But I've always thought Viper is really cool. She has a huge fan base. And, you know, out of the 4 original characters in Street Fighter 4, the 4 original characters, she is, without question, the most popular of the 4. So to me, Viper kind of represents the true, like, she is the true Street Fighter 4 representative. Like, obviously, that's gone to Jury these days. Like, if you're like, okay, let's find a character to represent Street Fighter, it's just Jury, right? But for me, that's Viper. Like, Viper, I feel like, is the character to me that if I was gonna have like a Street Fighter collection, and you had Street Fighter 1, you put Ryu, Street Fighter 2, maybe you put Chun-Li, Street Fighter 3, like you have to put kind of like if you're talking about like protagonists, or maybe you put Alex, but actually you probably have to put Chun-Li for Street Fighter 3, actually. But for 4, I would probably, like, Viper would be the character that I feel like should represent that game. And so her finally coming back, I'm just really, really happy about that. Olaf would kill me for which part? Which part? Because I know he likes Viper a lot more than he likes Jury. And also, Viper was teased in the story mode. Like, she was hanging around with Jury. Like, her and Jury looked like almost kind of like a Thelma and Louise. They're just going around causing trouble. And I'd kind of like to see a little bit more of that storyline, to be honest with you. Oh, I see. Yes, and that's the question, though, Lurker Spine. That is the big question. Are they going to make C. Viper... Jasmine was just scratching herself, but she was hitting the TV. So I just heard this like a woodpecker, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Viper and Jury interact in the comics a lot. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, I would like to see, someone actually suggested this, but they were like, just make Viper really hard execution-wise, and just do that. Like, obviously the game doesn't have crazy execution, and in Street Fighter V, this was kind of accomplished with Manat, right? So this game was like, every combo is so easy, and then they were like, here's Manat, here's V-Trigger 1, have fun, and like every execution junkie became a Manat. I played Manat for a while because I wanted to learn all that stuff because it was just really cool to see, really fun to do. And we'll get that when we talk about other games too, but like I am seeing this resurgence in like the desire for execution in the FGC, which I'm so happy to see, but I'm biased. But Manat was that character. I feel like if they just made Viper kind of similarly, that she is just about feint cancels, fierce feint cancel, etc., and like still had a lot of these crazy execution things, give her the high jump so she can high jump cancel moves into, well, I guess it wouldn't matter because if you could cancel a move into a high jump, you can cancel it into a super most likely. Or actually maybe not even necessarily level 1s, right? Or they just make it so that certain moves can just chain into the high jump because they just program it that way. So it just chains into the high jump, but then you can jump cancel it into supers, etc. Like, why not? Why not just make Viper the execution monster and then just, that's it. Like let the other characters just keep, design them how you've already been designing them, and let some of the execution monsters have fun with this character, because it will bring hype, it will bring a lot of excitement, and it will be the character that a lot of people will be looking for. Because again, I know there's a lot of people out there that hate execution and don't want execution in the game, but there's nothing wrong with making a game, and again, this is what Street Fighter 4 did the best, was they made characters for all the types of players. They didn't make the game a specific way. The characters represented the different play styles. If you loved execution, you just played Gen and Sakura and Viper and Dudley, But if you wanted, to play the character that was all heart mind games, you played Ryu, if you wanted to play a character that you didn't have to learn any FADC cancels or any one frame links, Bison was right there for you guys. Just hit heavy kick till you win, kind of a thing. That's how it's always been in the past for Street Fighter games. That you kind of had that difference, right? Because even something like in Third Strike, learning to use Urien, is infinitely harder than learning like most of the other characters, because if you want to maximize Urien, you have to know how to charge partition. If you can't charge partition, you can't do half of the unblockable setups that Urien has. Like, you have to learn charge partitioning to even put Urien at that competitive level. And so it's nice, right? Because there was definitely other characters in that game where it's like button go, brrr, you know, kind of a thing. So you know, I mean, Mr. Crimson said he's back too, Super Coco Gene. He was like, finally I'm back, and now you'll know why I have my name. And I was like, holy crap, is that why he's Mr. Crimson? And I've known him since back then. I don't know why. I just never made that connection. Because, yeah, he's a Viper player back in the day. So, oh, man. But that's probably why he likes playing Dhalsim. Because Dhalsim in 5 and in 6 is very active. Like, it's not like Viper execution, but you are definitely doing a lot with Dhalsim. And he's got a lot of tricky things to do, you know, so it just feels better when you have the character that you're allowed to do a lot of stuff with your hands. I mean, when you watch me play neutral in these games, I can't stop hitting buttons, so I die all the time. I need characters that are busy with my hands as well, because it just feels more comfortable to me that way. I mean, look, FDB, I really think Dhalsim is the best character in 5. I know I've had this crazy argument with someone about that before, but I really do think he's the best character in the game, even more than Luke, even at the end of Street Fighter V. I really did think Dhalsim was the best, because he had so much shit, and honestly, if we never stopped playing the game, more Dhalsim players would come out, more tech would be discovered for Dhalsim, because Dhalsim had more potential for tech than a lot of other characters, and now in Street Fighter 6, as far as I can tell, he's like turned even more into Sentinel. So I'm actually really scared. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I've been saying, Drunken Banana. Like, I hope that they make Viper a high execution. Even if they change the way that she plays to a degree, which is kind of expected, I hope that they keep her high execution so she is the Menat of the game. And remember, Menat came out in Season 3 of Street Fighter V. She came out in Season 3, and she was an execution monster, and people loved it. She started creating highlight clips all over the place. And if they maybe are thinking the same thing, and they saved Viper for Season 3 to be the execution monster, there it is, right? It's just in time. So, fingers crossed that Viper still gets to be crazy. Do I think Feints will stay in? So if she was coming out in Season 1 or Season 2 as DLC, I would say no. I really think that they're gone. But the fact that she is coming out in 3 in the Menat cycle, you know, the same time frame as Menat, I think that there is a potential for that, especially if they do go with that idea that they're like, okay, you guys like execution? Here's a crazy execution character for you guys. Have fun. But, like, we're going to keep making the other characters the way we make characters, right? Like, I mean, again, it's not that they're making them without execution. It's just that people want that high-level execution character. People want that character that they have to practice and just, you know, twist her with your fingers and all these things. There are people, like I said, who love that. I love that. Like, I really like that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it would be cool if they actually made a character for those kind of players, right? Yeah, I saw that theory. Viper was known for cross-ups. Maybe that is why perfect parries were nerfed. I saw that theory, and it's a valid theory, but we'll see. Sim is garbage in 6 just because of the mechanics. I honestly do think, while he needed all the buffs that he's gotten so far, I also still think that Dhalsim would be a character that, even if, like, say from this point forward, if we never got another patch, Dhalsim would get better in the game eventually, just because people would understand him better. Because again, same thing that happened in Street Fighter V, like when that last patch came out, all the Dhalsim players were like, you nerfed him? Like all of the Dhalsims in the Dhalsim Discord were like, rip Dhalsim, and then they realized that, actually, yeah, V-Shift was really good for him. And then they were like, oh, wait, we have all this other and then, yeah, Dhalsim eventually became the best, right? So you don't usually nerf a system mechanic for just one character. Agreed. So probably not. So, regardless, I'm happy that Viper's back. She's like the character that I want back tied for the most because I think she deserves it. But you can see that my choice for the character I want back the most is less about I love this character, I want to see them. It's about like representation. It's about, this character deserves it. Because the other character that I have tied with her, and probably I want back a little bit more than Viper, is Saddam, right? And I've already mentioned it in a previous stream that the reason why I want Saddam back is because he's the only brand new character in Alpha that has not come back in 4 or 5, right? If we don't count Junie and Julie. And it's hard to count Junie and Julie because in Alpha 3 they were barely characters. And actually, via storyline, they're done, right? Cammy rescued them. They're done. They're not even fighting anymore. They have no more story, unless, obviously, you can concoct the story to make them come back and fight again. But outside of that, and Saddam was introduced in Alpha 1. He's the only character that's never become playable again since Alpha. And it's really kind of right. Oh, yeah, right. I think Junie and Julie, yeah, they are in the 5 story mode, right? In like Cammy's arc, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the interesting thing is, Saddam's truck is in World Tour as well, but it's being run by a person named Gamora. I almost feel like if they knew they didn't have a chance to put Saddam in, they would have just named him Saddam and just been like done with it. But instead, they put Gamora in there. So, well, J and V11, I've said that myself. My favorite character in Street Fighter 3 is Dudley. I think he's the sickest character ever. I also really liked Makoto, but I couldn't play Makoto, so by actually maining Dudley, I actually think Dudley is like the coolest character. And again, I just like it when characters represent their martial art well. You know what I mean? That's my criteria. So like for Street Fighter Third Strike, I really didn't like the what the hell are they characters, right? Really didn't like Necro, really like Oro, I really didn't like Q, I didn't like Remy, just like a 12, don't even get me started on 12. 12 is like the second most character that I never want to see come back to a Street Fighter game, right? So yeah, I'm just not a fan of that, right? So I actually really liked Juri and Hakan when they were announced. I really liked Armika when she came out because that's what Japanese wrestling was like, right? She was a wrestler. And people are like, what is this character? Like, this is just like a Gooner character or whatever. And I'm like, no, because this is actually what Japanese wrestling is like. And the women in Japan, they actually have the move where they throw you off the ropes, run at you, and launch their ass into you. Like, that was legit, like, a real move that they did, So, right, you like the monsters. And here's the funny thing is that I don't care about those kind of characters in every other series. It's just Street Fighter. It's just Street Fighter. And again, Remy is just Guile. You're right. Has nothing to do with his playstyle. I hate Remy because of how he looks. And what the fork is a Remy? Right? Like he looks like seriously like a KOF reject, right? Like what the freak is he, And again, like Necro, well, I was an Alex player, so I did hate Necro for being a stretchy guy. But at the same time, what the heck is he? Like, why is he even in this game, right? Even Gil and Urien didn't bother me so much because they kind of represented that Iron Man kind of, physical fitness kind of thing. And the way that Gil was, like, the way I saw Gil, yeah, he has all these stupid magical powers and shit, but he looked like like one of those Greek gods. You know what I mean? I mean, he even has like the freaking toga when he shows up, you know, and it goes away and everything. And it felt right to me. Fang feels like the bad guy in a Chinese martial arts movie, you know, like I like as long as you're adjacent somehow, it works for me a little bit better. And so I really liked Armika, etc., etc. And I think Dudley is the coolest character because Balrog is the saddest excuse for a boxer that you can put in the fighting game. Although, to be fair, if he is just about power from one punch, it makes sense. But the fact that Dudley and every one of his target combos has him switching arms like in perfect, like in like boxing style, like go watch him. Like I don't think he has a single target combo, and he has like a million target combos that he uses the same arm twice in two moves in a row. I don't think he has one. I might be wrong because, like I said, he has a million target combos, but I'm pretty sure every single one of them has them switch arms. And so, like my favorite target combo was forward heavy, you know, forward roundhouse fierce. And every time people watch me play Dudley, they see me do that target combo a lot, and they're like, why do you do that target combo all the time instead of like trying to do roundhouse into ducking up or whatever? It's just because, like, for me, like, that's just the, like, boom, boom, pow, pow. It just feels really cool. So I just do it because it feels really cool. And that's it. That's the whole reason why I do it, man. So, yeah, I really like Dudley. So I hope he might, like, if he's the next Street Fighter 3 character to come back, because if that's what they're trying to do is like trying to bring back characters, you know, evenly spread, I appreciate the fact that they are, you know, they released a Street Fighter 2, yes, /1, a Street Fighter 3, and a Street Fighter 4 character in Season 3. I'm glad they do that. And so if next season's kind of the same, obviously the biggest problem right now is it's sad that it's only 4 characters a season because it's going to take forever for, you know, like classic characters to come back, or even more so, you know, new characters. Because I wouldn't mind seeing brand new characters in this game either, right? So, you know, it is a shame for that reason, but I think Capcom has realized that, yeah, it's probably too hard to get 6 characters out in 1 year at this point. So, which just honestly makes me believe that their staffing is really, like, Capcom's probably not staffing them particularly full of people, which is really unfortunate. But if that is the case, I'm just speaking from like assumptions, like guessing kind of thing. So, but yeah, 4 Kings feel like they're coming. So next season might be Vega, etc., etc. So maybe Vega, Dudley. But I mean, we definitely need to get, you know, well, I mean, I guess well, actually now, both seasons now, yeah, have actually been 2 men and 2 women. So never mind, they're doing a great job here. So they're doing a great job here. Yeah, I mean, another Rival Schools character would be really, really cool, etc., etc. Fei Long is going to be a hard one because I don't know how much truth there is to the Fei Long, I mean, to the Bruce Lee Foundation, whatever, you know, that owns the rights to being able to put a Bruce Lee clone into your game. I don't know if the thing that they said that when they were just like, nope, no more Bruce Lee clones in anything, or no more, you know, like, because they got really mad at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I'm wondering if that's actually true. And if that is true, we might not see Fei Long at any point in time. As long as we don't get Makoto. You're actually an anti-Makoto character, huh? Interesting. Okay. Fixing Monster Hunter Wilds. So I don't know anything about that. Is that game being poorly received? Is it very buggy? I'm not actually sure. So, right, Law is there in Tekken, which might just mean that either that or maybe they paid them enough or something like that, right? So, money talks, right? Money always talks. And honestly, for a Street Fighter 2 character, well, that's the thing, is if all the Heavenly Kings are showing up, that's not going to leave a lot of room for Fei Long or T-Hawk. T-Hawk is probably just done. Although I think they could make him distinctly different than Lily easily, because Lily doesn't play like T-Hawk at all. You could definitely make a completely different character with T-Hawk, but I think the chances of T-Hawk coming back is probably very, very low. Fei Long would be the only one that's truly missing besides the Four Kings. But obviously Street Fighter 2 has massive representation in this game. So, like, is that a character that they're going to try to get back or focus on? I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think that character is going to necessarily show up anytime soon as well. So, if it is just going to be the Heavenly Kings every season, that's just how it's going to go. But yeah, so again, I really like the spread. They have a Street Fighter 2, a Street Fighter 3, and a Street Fighter 4 character for Season 3. That's really cool. So I'm actually, looking forward to the season and seeing what those characters can do. And seeing how they play, seeing how they change them. I'd like to see, Alex get kind of that redemption after being kind of screwed in Street Fighter 5. I'd love to see Viper be an execution character. I'm really curious to see if Sagat can be a proper zoning character. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to handle them. Like I said, all I remember right now is that Sagat is the first DLC character coming out in summer. His stage looks incredible. I think that stage is so beautiful. So, really cool, again, to get the announcement right away, get all the characters that we're getting from the season pass. So, we'll see how that goes, and honestly, we'll see if my conspiracy theory holds up. That potentially, maybe they're experimenting with throw loops right now, and that the first patch that comes with Sagat, actually, like, tweaks throw loops maybe. Because like I said, it's interesting the changes that they made is that the way that throw loops have been working, like, they didn't get rid of some of them, but they nerfed a few of them. Like, why would you nerf a couple of characters throw loops and not everybody else's, and then make Elena, your newest character, not have a true throw loop without having to drive rush and have perfect timing on the throw? It's like a 1 to 2 frame window to get a perfect throw loop. Like, it's just really interesting. They did some weird stuff, and in my head, it's like they're testing them out. They're testing out solutions, changes, to see how those characters function. Does that make it so that the characters with no through loops just die really badly? Like, okay, I can't perfectly time it. Let's see if perfect parries murder these characters, right? Or let's see if it really affects characters. And so my hope, fingers crossed, is that when Sagat drops, after they get a lot more data, that they can actually just find a good solution to kind of apply across the board. So, will he be out in time for Tiger Uppercut? When's Tiger Uppercut? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure when that's actually happening. But if he's coming out in the summer, I suspect he'll drop before Evo. Just like Mai still has her throw loop. Yeah, she still has her throw loop, which is stronger than Juri's too, because she's not forced to backdash to shimmy. So Juri has the easy to time throw loop as well. In fact, a lot of throw loops are pretty easy to time. But Juri's weakness is that she has to backdash, right? So they have a version with Mai where she can shimmy by backdashing and walking backwards. They have a version where Juri can dash forward but has to backdash. She can't walk back because immediate throws will catch her. So she can't shimmy, technically, immediate throws, etc. So they've kind of like shifted the rainbow a little bit of how all the throw loops work. So I'm hoping that they're just doing that to see how that affects all the characters differently. And then when the official Season 3 starts with Sagat, that they'll put some more system changes to throw loops. Because what they did to perfect parries was massive. And people were complaining about perfect parries, right? People were like, we don't like perfect parries. And like let's pretend throw loops don't exist. Like, they really kind of addressed what a lot of people hated about perfect parries. Like, a lot. Like, perfect parries are going to be significantly weaker now. So they really, like, did what a lot of people wanted, for that. And then throw loops, they just left the same. Like, that seems very, very weird. Oh, November? Oh, he'll be out way before then. In fact, the second character will probably be out by then as well, so. Right, but see, pushing back everybody's front throws, but, like, is that the right solution? Is that good? How much do you do it? Do you make it like Chun-Li's? Do you make it like, stuff like that? I think that they're just trying it out, so. But yeah, that was the Season 3 roster announced at Summer Games Fest, so kind of excited to see that coming out soon, so, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the past. Like I said, really excited to see all 3 of the characters. And, yeah. So, thank you guys for tuning in here for It Was Tuesday. Obviously, appreciate everybody's support. And, the day that this... Okay. Man... So I mentioned that the character 12 is the character that was the second most that I never ever want to see show up in a Street Fighter game. I'll give everybody, well, a lot of people in the chat know who my number 1 is, right? So many people know who my number 1 character is that I never, ever, ever want to see in a Street Fighter game. So all I'll say is this. They did manage to make Ed cool. They gave him a very nice glow up. They gave glow ups to a lot of characters, so I really could hope that they can do something well with Alex. And there's been a lot of discourse already on the internet saying, oh, this complaint is not valid, this complaint is not valid, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Look, Ingrid just stands for everything that I don't want in Street Fighter. Which is, what the hell fighting style is that? And supposedly she's completely overpowered and she's magical. Her counter in CFJ was she just lifted you off the screen. You didn't even change animation frames, by the way. You just floated off screen and fell and dropped to the ground, etc., etc. I am not a fan of Ingrid, to say the least. To say the least. I hate this character. I really, really do. But the battle team has done such a good job. Like Oro. I don't like Oro. I never liked Oro. I think Oro is a really stupid character. And then in Street Fighter V, they gave him a turtle, and that was the coolest thing ever, right? Like, that was awesome. Like, then I liked Oro. All they did was give him a turtle, and I thought Oro was like the coolest character ever, right? It was good enough. It was good enough for me to kind of turn on that. And this same battle team is the one that turned Ed into a character that is actually kind of cool. Because again, I never cared about Ed in Street Fighter V at all. I was just like, what the heck is this character, right? And so I am holding out hope and faith that they can turn Ingrid into a character that I like. Again, I'm not like mad that, I mean, I'm sad that they're putting her in the game and all this stuff like this, but like, I'm not blaming them, and if they can figure out a proper lore for her, because she's never really had a lore. But yeah, at one point in time, she was supposed to be like the embodiment of like the psycho power, rose soul power, Satsue no Hado. Like, she was supposed to be like canonically like one of the most powerful characters, in the universe kind of thing. And I'm just like, ugh, God. Well, I'm just gonna have the season pass, Flashy Flash, so I'm gonna have the character no matter what. But to be fair, I really actually hated Rose when she first showed up in Street Fighter Alpha. I really hated her because I was like, what is this completely random magical high heel wearing Darkwing Duck clone doing in a fighting game? Like, I actually really hated Rose when she first came out, right? My least favorite characters in Street Fighter 2 were Dhalsim and Blanca. The only reason why I was okay with Dhalsim is because I found out where Dhalsim came from and where he was inspired from. So I was like, okay. So again, martial arts adjacent, kind of neat. But yeah, I really didn't like Rose. And like I said, in Third Strike, 12, Necro, and Remy are on my list of like 5 most hated Street Fighter characters ever in a Street Fighter game. I didn't like Sakura when she first showed up. I really didn't like Sakura. I was like, why are you putting a schoolgirl in this fighting game tournament? That doesn't make sense at all. Like, she would just get beat up and that's the end of it. Like, it didn't make sense, right? So I didn't like Sakura. Right, so obviously Rose, very Lisa inspired. I had no idea. But again, like, I just didn't like those characters. So like I said, I liked Armika because she made sense, right? The only reason why I didn't hate Karin is because Karin is, and again, this is only for Street Fighter, so Norimaru, whatever, I don't care, right? Put him in any other game, like Guilty Gear, KOF. If Ingrid was in KOF, I would have 0 problems with her. Like, if Ingrid was a KOF character, looked exactly the same, was the embodiment of Orochi, and was like super powerful for no reason, I'd be like, yeah, par for course, like, the only reason why I put up with Karin is because I actually thought Karin was a cool idea. Again, she was created by a manga artist. She was not created by Capcom. So Sakura had this big series of mangas that's the author is the one who invented Karin. And literally, Karin is just Sakura's Ken. And they don't play that up anymore, which makes me sad. Because in Street Fighter V, they don't really make that apparent anymore. But that's all Karin was. She was Ken for Sakura. Well, right, Strider is the same thing. But if you think about it, right, like, dressed in red, K-N, like, her name is literally Karin. She's blonde, she's half Japanese and half Caucasian, and she's rich as fork, right? Like, she just was created because Sakura tries to emulate Ryu so much. It made sense to give her a rival who was just basically her version of Ken. And so I've never minded Karin that way because that's kind of, she filled that role, and I thought that was kind of neat, right? So Karin, I've never really had a problem with. But it's just, oh man, like... And so again, like, for people who are like, James, that whole complaint about, like, she's in a dress, whatever, blah, 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 doesn't make sense because look at Rose. Yeah, I hated Rose too. Look at Sakura. Yeah, I didn't like Sakura either, right? What about, no, all the characters that you're going to name, I don't like them. Okay? I liked Elena. I liked Ibuki. I liked Makoto. I liked Dudley. I liked Alex. You know why? Because they're all based off of a real fighting style, and that's awesome. All the other crazy characters, I'm not a fan. So it's very consistent for me here. But, like, she is the epitome of that because not only is she little girl in a dress who can now fight with, like, the greatest warriors ever, with magic that lifts them into the sky for no reason. Obviously, they could change her a lot. But, like, it's just, like, there's, like, nothing about her that makes sense about being a fighter. And if the storyline, which as people have mentioned, was mistranslated, but I'm not even sure if that's the case because I remember reading like like those character profile books that describe Ingrid like as like the most ridiculously powerful character ever. Vega's like an assassin, right? And to be honest with you, and I like it's weird because like I can't find any evidence of this anymore, but Vega has always been a high ally player to me. Like, if you actually think about Vega, he's a high ally player, right? So if you actually look at high ally players, they just have this big giant cup off their fist, and what do? They jump on walls, and they're fast and very, very mobile. I heard at one point in time that that high ally players wore the same sash that Vega has on him. So to me, I was always like, he's like a high ally player who turned into an assassin. You know, high ally players used to wear masks on their faces. So that's what I had always associated with him. They called him Bullfighter, and I was like, what? Like, huh? So that's how I always pictured Vega. So Vega's never really bothered me for that reason. Because I was just, it was like one of those, yeah, and he's in Spain, right? Where that's where high ally is like the most popular is in Spain, right? So it all makes sense. Again, this is what I believed even back in Street Fighter 2. This is not even any sort of modern thing. Like, that's what I had heard. And, you know, back in the day, you don't know what's credible or not. And that's just had been in the lore in my head forever. Is that Vega's a high ally player. So that's just all it is. Right. The Street Fighter cast has always been a little bit more about stereotypes. Absolutely true. Which is why on commentary at Combo Breaker, I said that if Third Strike came out today, or even Street Fighter 3 came out today, I really think it would be accused of being woke. I really think so. Because if you look at the history of that series, right, they tried to change all the things, right? Balrog is just like the worst kind of like stereotype that you can have, right? Muscle, no intelligence, strength, blah, blah, blah. You know, I murdered somebody in the ring. And so what did they do? They found the boxer in Third Strike who is just all about high society. He's like rich, you know, like he's exactly the opposite of Balrog, right? The grappler is a short little girl. The most naked character in the game is a guy, right? Like, I really feel like this game, like, if Street Fighter 3 series would be lambasted as, like, one of the most woke things ever if it came out today. I don't know who Chris Eubank is, actually. I actually don't know, so... Yeah, granted, Elena exists, and she's pretty damn naked, but Urien is still more naked than that, and so was Gil, right? Like, can you imagine? Like, I can tell you, the first time I ever saw Gil, we were at the UCLA arcade, Gil came out, and he came out in the toga, and we were like, this is so cool, and then he shed off, like, the robe, and he's just in this little banana hammock, and that was it? Dude, it was uncomfortably silent when that happened. There was like, you could tell that a lot of people were like, oh! Like, because at that time, obviously, we were not as, you know, we were all a lot more horrible people back then. And so, it definitely was like, what the hell? Like you could almost see the disappointment of a lot of people that were just like, I went from really liking this character to like, I never want to see this character again. You know, like, that's what it was. Like, seriously, the Street Fighter 3 series would have been accused to be like the wokest thing on the planet. Seriously. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was based on that because a lot of the characters in these games are based off of those kind of things. So... But in any case, yeah, so Ingrid, again, like, obviously I'm not happy about it. Obviously, I'm really upset about it, but thankfully, thankfully, and again, I don't like talking about this at all because I like letting people have the surprises when they have them. But thankfully, because of the leak, I was a little more prepared for this, to be a little bit more rational about it. So I hope that they can change my mind about Ingrid. And the track record of this current team who are working on, ladder Street Fighter V into Street Fighter 6, their track record has been amazing, right? Like, for me, like, I don't think that there's a single character. Well, actually, okay. Most of the characters I think are really, really well designed, right? And the characters that I even disliked before have come back in a way that I'm like, okay, that's actually really sick how they made these characters. So their track record is impeccable right now. And so I'm hoping they can get me to change my mind. If they remove a little bit of that storyline where she is not the most powerful being on the planet, if they kind of just lean more into the Rose storyline of the soul power like they did with Manat, right? Like if they tied her directly to that, if they can find a way to make Ingrid a little more grounded, and maybe she'll have alternate costumes that don't look as like, right? So again, like I said, I still hate Rose's original costume. I still hate it. Hate it. Right? So, and that's the thing, is like, I think one source even said that she literally was a space alien, Kumatori. Like, I really do think at one point in time it was kind of implied she came from outer space or something like that. So, right. And Forrest, I'm like, yeah, like that I just don't feel like that. Like, we already have Karin, right? And like I said, I can justify her because she's, Ken to Sakura. And so, like, why put in another one? Anyways, yeah, I hope I can get my mind changed on the character. I don't want to be super negative. I don't want to be doom and gloom about it, but, a lot of people who have heard me talk about her before in previous streams know exactly how I feel about that character. But like I said, I will give them a chance. I will give them a chance because they have done a great job with so many of the characters. And, it's not the first time that a character has shown up in, one of these games that I'm just like, oh God, why did they, this is probably the most extreme example of it. But I'm trying so hard to be hopeful and remain positive. Her new outfit is way more space design, which freaks me out even more. So, Lord Knight said that you should hate some of the characters in a fighting game because there should be so many different designs that one is just not for you. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And I think he's absolutely correct on that. And Ingrid just happens to fall into that exactly everything that I didn't want to see in Street Fighter. And again, it's not that I hate Ingrid. I hate Ingrid for Street Fighter. But, like, if she showed up in KOF, whatever. If she showed up in Guilty Gear, whatever. If she showed up in Tekken, whatever. It's just, for me, I just had this crazy ideal of how I would like Street Fighter to be. Like, I miss having Street Fighter characters squarely put into a country. I miss Street Fighter characters all having their own stage, their own, they still have their background music, but like, I liked that kind of idea, and I liked the characters being like, oh, this is their martial arts style. And even for Guile, it's like army training, right? Like, yes, that's a real thing. And so for me, if Ingrid is magical, especially like with things where she could just lift you off the screen and let you drop, like, like she just happens to embody everything that I never wanted to see in a Street Fighter game. So yeah, it's tough for me. It's tough for me, and like I said, it's pretty consistent for me because I'm not gonna sit here and be like Rose is so cool, and then be like I hate Ingrid because, like I said, I hated Rose. I literally hated Rose when Street Fighter Alpha 1 came out. Me and my brother would talk about it all the time. Like, what is this stupid character doing here? Like, she shouldn't even be able to fight, right? Like, she would just move in a certain way, the heel would break, and she'd twist her ankle, and that's the end of the fight. Like, why are you fighting in high heels, right? Like, I've already hated that kind of character. And to me, like, she was just kind of like the epitome of that, honestly. So... yeah, having the plane travel to the country, I miss that. I really do. I miss that kind of, this is a tournament kind of environment, right? Like KOF is kind of like that, but KOF was magical since the beginning, right? I miss the fact that the original Street Fighter 2, and again, obviously I'm an old man, I'm just nostalgic, etc., etc. I miss the fact that it was like just this fighting game tournament. And it was just all these different styles. And, they fought and everything like that. And they always had to go through Pete Holmes to get the proper financial approval and get the packets and all that stuff like that. I miss that kind of thing, because it was only the main storyline with Ryu, Akuma, and like Bison that were like magical. The only way that I've warmed up to Rose is because that she had the soul power, in which soul power was the opposite of psycho power. And so I was able to kind of, okay, that's what it is. Ryu throws fireballs in Street Fighter 1, yeah, but it's like the handprint is in the fireball. It's about like the energy. It's about the key, right? Like it's about that kind of thing. And they don't call it magic. There's like Ryu's fireball is not referred to as magic, right? It is the epitome of martial arts. It's like the true example of you with the power to focus and have that as part of that whole Satsue no Hado style or whatever. I don't know what it's called, blah, blah, blah. But like, Blanca did electricity. Guess what? I hated Blanca too. He was the character I hated the most in Street Fighter 2. But it was always gone through this martial arts vein, right? It wasn't magic. It wasn't magic. It was always based off of this martial arts tournament and being super strong at martial arts. Ken had flaming uppercuts. Fei Long could produce fire with his leg. Like, yeah, there's a lot of supernatural or, superhuman things. But when it's just magic, like, I couldn't really gel with it. Yeah, exactly. Like the Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, it's perfectly illustrated how that works, right? So, So even DBZ makes that distinction between key-based and magic-based power. Bison Psycho Power, not a fan, but he's also the main bad guy. And so you always give it, you always can suspend disbelief with the main bad guy of the game. And I think that's also kind of why Gil didn't bother me that much, right? So that's just the thing. Next Gen Leap says James is turning senile. I take offense to that next Gen Leap because I have been senile for a long time already, okay? You better recognize that. None of this turning senile crap. I've been senile forever. Get that straight, okay? Get that straight. So, yeah, that's just how I feel kind of like about this. So, I don't get you martial artists. It's a little zen for me. Sea Viper, Windcoat, and Street Fighter. That's cool. Yeah, see, even they kind of acknowledge it there too, right? So that's how it is. Dude, that's why I kept calling myself JC Nile. Like, that's one of my Smurf accounts online. I'm JC Nile, which sounds like, oh, like the Nile River, like cool. Like, no, it's a pun. It's a pun. Like one of my Smurf accounts online is JC Nile. So, you know, oh man. So, senile and proud. Yeah, basically. But that's all it is, right? And so, yes, Ingrid bothers me. Yes, for a lot of the reasons that other people mention, like, what is she? Why is she even fight? Why is she the most powerful thing in the galaxy? All that stuff, which a lot of it might not even be true, which a lot of it might be erased by the time Street Fighter 6 comes out. Like, the fascinating part to me is when in Street Fighter 5, I believe it was, when Oro hints that the Satsue no Hado and Psycho Power are actually two parts of the same energy. So at some point it was kind of implied that Psycho Power and the Satsue no Hado are the same thing, which essentially also means that Soul Power is also all kind of in that bundle. And so maybe they just make Ingrid the ultimate, like, I am the embodiment, which I can use Psycho and Soul and Satsue no Hado and whatever power is all out there. But, like, how sick would it have been if, like, the girl who has this embodiment of all the powers showed up and just looked like a freaking martial artist, right? Like, what if she looked like those drawings of Makoto where she just shows up in like karate gi and just like a wrap around her chest and she, like her hair is in a ponytail and she's just ripped as hell and she's like, I am the embodiment of all that. Like, dude, like that would be sick, right? Like that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Well, I mean, look, Zangief and the green glowing hand, I mean, I've never been a fan of the green hand. Everybody knows how I feel about the green hand, okay? Right, the whole she's a god stuff is probably not really true, but regardless, like, then what is she? What is she here? And so if they can figure out a way to make it so that, like, it makes sense, and that, I mean, like I said, like people said, she looks kind of like an alien, and I'm worried about that. But like, if they can figure out a way to make her make sense, and like I said, their track record has been amazing, because I literally said, like, they actually made me think Ed is cool, right? So, for example, if they could ever actually somehow bring back Nakali and make Nakali cool, right? Like, they've already done so with Ed, and, you know, their track record has been good. And so, like, those, like, Ingrid and Nakali would be, like, the characters that I would be shocked if El Fuerte would be another one, if they could actually bring El Fuerte back and, like, not make him a giant racist stereotype. Like, that would actually be very interesting, right? I would love to see that. I would love to see Birdie come back and be fit again, right? Like, I would love to see the redemption arc for Birdie, because I hate what they did to Birdie in Street Fighter V as well. So, in any case, am I a fan of wrestling games? I used to be. I really liked pro wrestling on the NES. I don't think that counts. I also played WWE a lot on the NES, but that game was horrible. Terrible, terrible game. But I'll tell you what my favorite wrestling game is, and I'm going in a completely different direction here. But my favorite wrestling game was Royal Rumble on the SNES. And why? Because, so my parents used to, you know, obviously they owned a video store where they rented out video cassettes. I've talked about that in past streams before. And there was a lot of weekends and stuff like that where they would just get me and my brother to open the store, and we would work there, basically, you know, the way that Asian parents use their kids as free labor all the time, right? So they just use us as free labor. So what we would do is we would bring our SNES, and just like play games there and stuff like that. But, you know, we never wanted to play games while customers were in the building and stuff like that. Like, it would look bad. Like, you always want to make sure that you are paying attention to the customer. Our parents taught us a lot about being really good with customer service and stuff like that. And so one of the games they rented out there was the SNES Royal Rumble. And the best thing about that game is if you turned on Royal Rumble mode and like you pick the character, like pick the character that you like the least, right? You pick that character, you make the character climb the turnbuckle, the ropes in the corner at the top of the screen, and just stood there. One of the computers would eventually just come up and hit the ropes, and you would fall out of the ring, and you would be eliminated. But the game kept going. So all the wrestlers would just get into the ring, and they would all be CPU, and they would just all fight. And so we would just do that. We would just do that, put it on, and just let them fight each other, and just sit there and watch it and laugh. And then whenever customers came in, we just let it go and just let it keep playing by itself. And so we would just watch all the dumb things that happened, and like even in like true WWE fashion, some characters would last way longer than they should have. Dude, it was great, dude. I think it might have been LJN. Yes, I think it was. Dude, me and my brother were obsessed with that. We even came up with a whole super complicated system eventually for Alpha 3, in which we ran tournaments. And we ran tournaments for so long that some characters were so useless that we started putting them in teams. And we tried to make sure the teams had some sort of logical connection of why they're together, so we gave them names. But we always like balanced out like the worst character with the best character, and then we would put them in brackets and stuff. We were doing salty bets so much earlier than salty bets. Like, I should probably bring that back and just stream them for entertainment purposes, because I know a lot of people did that. I'm sure I can find our old data sheets of what team we put everybody on somewhere. Oh man, we always picked what ism we found that we thought that they did the best in, honestly. So, no, we do have a real boxer. That's why I was saying I love Dudley. That's why I was saying I love Dudley, because Dudley is like the greatest boxer there is, right? Like, I mean, like he's just straight up a boxer. I love Dudley. He's so cool. So, yeah, we do have a boxer. That's why Dudley is my favorite character in Third Strike. Anyways, like evil, right? Yeah, no, seriously. It's true. And like I said, if they actually made Ingrid, like, if she was like, I can use all the powers, and like she showed up like as just some ridiculously buff chick, like just ripped as all hell, and like thin, like not like muscle bodybuilder, but like ripped but thin, like in that martial arts style, and she had all the crazy Satsui no Hado energy and all this other stuff, and you know, like she was just built for fighting. Like, that would be so sick, honestly. So anyways, I've been talking about this for way too long. So yeah, the season 3 was announced, and obviously I'm really excited for Sagat, Viper, and Alex. I like genuinely am excited for them, because I feel like those are 3 characters that deserve to come back. You know, Sagat, like, obviously, for me, it's just more of an experiment to see if they can turn him into a zoning fireball character. He might not end up playing the way that I would prefer him to play, but that's cool. And obviously, Ingrid, I am not, again, like I said, I have disliked Ingrid since the beginning, so I'm not, like, mad that they're putting her in the game. You know, I don't think it's a bad decision. Like, there's obviously a lot of good reasons to put her in the game, because, you know, there's a bunch of Ingrid fans out there, even though they all have never used her or don't know anything about her. You know, it's the same thing that happened with Armika being announced in Street Fighter V. I love Armika. No, you didn't. No, you didn't love Armika. because I could name you like the 5 people, including myself, who actually liked Armika in Alpha 3, because everybody talks shit about the character. You were not an Armika fan, okay? Just like you are not an Ingrid fan, okay? I call BS on that. But she'll be popular, and they've done a good job with the glow ups. So, you know, if they can turn her into a character that I actually think is cool, well, that's even better, because then I don't have to have a character that I am miserable about, kind of thing. So, okay. All right. So that's enough for season 3. I want to talk about some of these other things over here. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, like, it's weird how I can take any of these topics that I expected I would talk for like 15 minutes about and go on for an hour, but that's just how I am. So appreciate you guys sticking in here, listening to me talk. Hope you guys enjoy the rants. I will be traveling to CEO this weekend. I had the CTWC this last weekend, so I haven't been able to do a lot more of the going through the season 3 patches, so I apologize. But hopefully, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can squeeze it in at some point in time. In any case, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. And for those of you here on Twitch, I will be covering these other topics. But for those of you on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Comment below who you would have liked to have seen or who you are most happy about seeing. Let's actually try to be positive here. Put only the character that you are the most happy to see down here, okay? I don't want to see any comments about I'm so mad blahs in here. Let's keep it positive, okay? So thank you guys for tuning in. And the day that this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.
Zap